Like, never like, never like, never like.
Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. For those of you that are new here, my name's Arena, and if you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for coming back to my video, and I hope you find this useful. Today's topic, I wanted to dive into something that so many of us struggle with. It's when we're abandoning ourselves in relationships. I really want to work on kind of discussing why we do this, the key signs to look out for, how to break the cycle and create a really balanced and thriving relationship, because it's absolutely possible. And also, I'm going to discuss whether it's possible to do this whilst you're already in the relationship, or whether you really need to walk away from it to do that. So if that sounds interesting, stay tuned, guys. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Please make sure to give me that thumbs up if you enjoyed my video. Any questions, don't feel, go for it, put in the comments, and I will reply to you guys. Again, I appreciate all of you. So if that sounds like something that you've struggled with and you want to know more about, then please stay tuned. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the basics. Like, why do we do this? What is it? Why? So I've got a few reasons for this, and the first one is deep-rooted beliefs about love and worthiness. If you've grown up in an environment where you've seen people really overextend themselves and overgive, and kind of that earning activity is what kind of gives you love, then you're gonna probably internalize that, and throughout your life you're going to be doing that. You're going to be earning by overdoing, overextending yourself, and really kind of putting yourself behind everyone else because you want to do everything for everyone. So that's one of the reasons why we do that. The second reason is the fear of rejection or abandonment. I would say that's probably one of mine. I feel like if we're scared of losing someone, and we think that if we don't do this and don't do that, they're going to walk away from us, then we're going to do everything we can to try and prevent that from happening. Sometimes you don't know what that is, but you'll just do things that you've seen other people do because you think, right, well, that must be what they want. And also, we do that at the risk of not really knowing what that person wants from us. I certainly feel like I give everything, and I'm like, something will stick. And I give too much, and I overgive, and it completely drains me. Giving someone from the goodness of your heart, if you know that something makes them happy, that's amazing. But if you're giving and giving and giving and hoping that the more you do that, then it means they're going to stick around and they're going to be with you, that's not just damaging, but that's obviously really, really unhealthy, because there's no guarantee to that anyway. So that's the fear of rejection and abandonment. Romantic idealization. This one's quite interesting for me when I did my research on this, but when we meet someone we really like, we put them on a pedestal and start shaping our lives around them rather than integrating them into our own life. Again, I think there's a kind of a sensation of, if you really love someone and you look up to them and you respect them, you start to almost think they're above you somehow, and then, they've got more value than yourself, and, you need to keep fixing yourself, and you're not good enough, and, this wonderful person that's come into your life, and you again get attached and you don't want to lose them, and you're kind of this dynamic of they're better than you somehow. And I have to say as well, in my last relationship, I was very fortunate, dare I say, to meet a person that really inspired me in a lot of ways, and I really looked up to him in some ways. But what's not good, obviously, is doing that so much that this person's like some sort of standard that you have to live up to, and you're falling short. So that's the romantic idealization of the person. The other reason why we do that is a lack of self-identity. Obviously, if you don't really know what makes you happy, if you don't really know what you need and want to be fulfilled and to be good in yourself, you're going to start taking on whatever the other person's saying, whatever doing, or whatever they want you to do, and you just kind of keep losing yourself in what another person is about. And it's just easy to morph into something that you're not and was never right for you in the first place. And then the last one, which is again probably something I can also relate with too, is people-pleasing tendencies, just not being able to say no, feeling like putting yourself first is selfish, feeling like if you say no to something, it's rude, it will upset someone else. And throughout that whole, I maybe will just go along with this and I'll go along with this and it doesn't seem like a big deal. Little things will start to pile on top of each other, and then all of a sudden you find yourself kind of having compromised on a lot of who you are and what you need in order to make another person happy, or not upset anyone or not ruffle any feathers. And again, that's really damaging for anybody. So these are some of the reasons why we do this. Now, what are the signs that you can look out for that you're going down this road and you're starting to kind of lose yourself in the interaction? I'm going to give you 6 solid signs that you are starting to do this. So pay attention to these 6 signs. Okay, so now I'm going to go into the 6 signs that you have to look out for in order to know if you're starting to lose yourself in that relationship. The first one is no longer doing the things that you enjoy. So I don't know, you might have enjoyed going to yoga, or you might have enjoyed lunches with your friends, or you might have enjoyed going for a run. If you start to find that you're giving those things up in order to please this other person, then you've got a case of losing yourself. What will happen is it won't affect you straight away, but over time you'll notice that, whatever that did for you, it's going to start to disappear. And if it made you feel good, you're going to have this like emptiness and this like lack, and you're going to feel kind of just not your best self. Also, if you can hear any noise, I do apologize. There's someone doing the hoovering in my apartment block. So yeah, just so you know, that's what that is. So yeah, you basically stop doing the things you enjoy and you start to feel a little bit miserable about it, but it won't hit you straight away. So watch out for that. And I'm going to go through some solutions and some ways you can kind of keep an eye on these things, but that's the first sign. The second one is you suppress your own needs and feelings. Instead of saying that something's upsetting or hurtful, you start to find yourself pushing it down and almost like just thinking, oh, it's okay, I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to upset this person. And slowly over time, you start to kind of like walk on eggshells because you're like, I know something's not quite right, but I'm scared to say because of how they respond, because of upsetting them, because of hurting their feelings. Now, this may be real. They might respond really badly to when you give them some feedback. That's not good. But it could also be because you've told yourself a story that you can't express and you can't say things so you don't upset other people. And it could be that if you did express it, this person would be, really grateful or would take it on board. So, but if you find yourself kind of holding things in over time and not being able to communicate when something makes you feel uncomfortable or, when you're unhappy, that is something to look out for. The third one is when your mood depends on how your partner treats you. So if they're nice to you, day's great. If they're moody with you, then it spirals, your whole day spirals. If you start to notice this, something's not quite right because they're really kind of taking over your mental space. And that's, again, not a great thing to experience. You also feel exhausted, resentful, or unappreciated. This can be because you're giving. Now, again, this could be just because you think you have to give and not necessarily something they've asked. And then you start to become resentful and you start to get angry about it. And you start to feel like, why am I feeling this way? Which is something that happens to me. Or it could be because they're asking a lot from you and you're trying your best, but you just don't feel like it's appreciated. You don't feel like they're reciprocating, etc. So basically, if you find yourself feeling unappreciated, feeling exhausted and resentful, then that should be a signal that you're starting to lose yourself and you're letting this relationship take over. And then the last one is you feel like you need to earn their love. And, I struggle with all of these because there's a part of me that's like, well, I want to do nice things. I want to give. I'm like that sort of person. It's just knowing when you are giving because you want to give and when you're starting to give because you feel obligated or because you feel if you don't, they're going to walk out or you're not good enough if you don't. If it's not coming freely, you're doing it for a reason and you're almost doing it to earn and get their approval and feel like you're worth something that you maybe aren't otherwise. So if you're finding yourself having to do things and give and do whatever to earn their love and not just because you're happy and you want to do that, then again, that is a sign to look out for. Now, next, I'm going to talk about how you can break this cycle and how you can really get a hold of this. It's not an easy thing to do. And also, I think the first thing that needs to happen is having the self-awareness and really paying attention to what's happening, because it's happened to me. I've gotten overwhelmed and I reach a point and I'm like, why do I keep reaching this point, and why do I keep ending up here? So the first thing is that you've got to take a step back and really look at yourself. Before you can change anything else in this world, you have to look at yourself and how you're contributing to it. So that's the first step that I would encourage anybody to do. And unless you can do that, you're probably going to struggle with the other things. But the first thing to do is reconnect with yourself. Start by remembering the things that you love and reintroducing them back into your life. There are things that you would have loved doing. There are things that make you feel happier in yourself, better, whether it's mentally, whether it's health-wise, whether it's, your mood is better, you're calmer. For me, for example, I love to meditate. I really enjoyed walking, and also time with my friends, time with my family, just having time with the people that I really love and care for. And these are things that over time I can let slide and I forget, and before I know it, it's like a month's gone and I'm not getting that nourishment that I need. So even if you don't know what those things are, it's important that you try and find them and try things out and experiment, and you will find something. And something that really helped me actually is going back to my childhood and remembering the sort of things I loved doing and how they used to make me feel. And I realized that play was really important for me, and I want to feel like a kid. I love to have fun. I love to be a little bit spontaneous, try new things. And I love things like yoga, meditation, those sort of things. And once I start to give those things up, I notice that I'm not as good in myself as I could be. So yeah, first of all, reconnect with yourself. Also, self-care practices, very, very important for us. A simple thing that I'll tell you guys about, I have such a thing about having a shower morning and evening, and I love those showers. They're like a ritual for me. It's the beginning of the day. I'm fresh for the day, and also the end of the day, I'm like washing the day away off of me. So if I've had a stressful day, if I've had an overwhelming day, when I have that shower, usually about 8:30 or so, I wash all of that stress and frustration off of me, and now it's time for me to unwind and relax and give myself like a good pre-sleep hygiene, pre-bedtime hygiene, and then I'll read a book or I'll meditate or whatever. But that shower symbolizing such a big thing to me, and I just love a really good hot shower. My skincare routine, I give myself that no matter what. Each evening I take a bit of time to self-care like that. And little things like that you can give to yourself. Set and enforce and reinforce boundaries. Now, if you struggle with overgiving, start setting small boundaries for yourself. It could be as simple as saying, tonight I feel a little bit tired. I'm just going to take some time to myself. Or I'd rather do this instead. Or, I don't really feel like doing that. Do you mind if we do it another time? Or whatever it may be. It's okay. So recently I actually felt so exhausted and overwhelmed that I was trying to do a million things, and I was trying to turn up, and I was trying to be okay for this person and okay for this person. And I just had this realization, I just need a day. I need a day to rest and do what I need to do and feel like I'm recharging my own batteries. And, that's something I don't normally do. And it's such a important thing that you notice when you need something and that you give that to yourself. Now, this isn't easy because I'm also guilty of just getting on with things. I don't want to cancel. I don't want to let people down. I don't want to, let things get to me. I'm very, very resilient in that sense, and I will always get on with it. And I'm never going to let people down. Very conscientious in that way. But it goes to a point where I don't know how to give myself the things that I need at times where I really need them. So that's something I need to work on. And again, I'm going to talk about some ways that you can do these, and also I've got a PDF in my description, in my video description, that you can download and you can use for yourself. I've got an email that you can email me on, and I can send you the PDF straight to your inbox. Yeah, sorry about that. I thought I'd put it on, but I haven't. The next thing is communicate your needs openly. Now, again, this is a thing that for me, I think I've had some bad experiences in the past, and I almost feel like I can't express my needs because nobody's going to listen. And if I do that, then I'm going to lose the person. So it's, that is something I need to work on. But the truth is, a healthy relationship does require mutual understanding, and you should be able to communicate with a partner that something's difficult for you, that you're having a bit of a bad day, that you need a little bit of support. This is not something to stop yourself from doing. It's ever so important, emotionally, mentally, physically. If you need something for yourself and for your own well-being, you have to be able to communicate that to your partner. And if they care about you, they're gonna understand, and they're gonna make space for you or support you in that, or whatever needs to happen. Because what you can't do is sacrifice your happiness quietly. You will never, that's never going to last, or you're going to be incredibly miserable if that's the life that you choose for yourself. Next point is you have to detach from validation seeking. And again, really, really important to remember that your worth and what you are worth is not doesn't equate to how much you give or how much you do, or how much you sacrifice of yourself. They are not the same thing. So if you do things to get validation from people about your own worth, then this is where it begins, really, because you want to feel solid in yourself before you even enter a relationship or before you even go out there. Now, again, it's not something that happens overnight. This is something we actively have to work on. And again, we'll talk about ways to do that, but it's important to have check-ins with yourself and just remember that your worth is not tied to anything external of you. If someone cancels on you, if someone upsets you, if someone walks out on you, that is not related to your worth. That is something that person chooses to do. That is something to do with that person, and it's not something to take upon ourselves. The next point is shifting your focus from keeping someone to choosing them. I've had this whole thing in my relationships where I felt like when I've met someone, and if I like them and if I care about them, I have to now put on a performance. And I have to be, the best version of myself, and I have to be this and that and this and that. And I put a lot of pressure on myself, and I almost feel like I have to put on a persona to keep this person with me. As I've gotten older, I've realized a lot more that that's not the case, and that, I am just as worthy. I am enough. I am, I'm great in my own skin. And I'm very proud of that. However, when you're in an intimate relationship, when you start to feel like, you're getting resistance from another person, or, things don't go quite so well, or maybe they pull away from you, etc., it can still trigger that side to me a little bit. And then I'm thinking to myself, how do I keep him now? The thing to remember is that when we're in a relationship, we're not trying to keep a person. We're choosing that person. We're choosing to share with that person. We're choosing to be with that person. We're choosing to spend time with that person. We're choosing to give to that person what we give. And if you feel like you're having to keep someone rather than choosing to be with them, and that they're making you feel like they're better than you in some sort, or in some way, or they somehow have something that you don't have. And, if you start to feel those sort of emotions, please trust me, that is not good. That's not how you want to feel. You do not have to, damage yourself in a sense to keep a person if they don't want to be there. If they don't want to be there, and, I was watching another video the other day, and it's like, if someone wants to walk, show them the door. As long as you're doing your work, as long as you're being respectful, as long as you're treating them with respect and kindness and love that you believe they deserve. If they choose to do otherwise, then that is no longer your problem, okay? Show them the door, let them go. Obviously, there's a lot that goes into this, but if you start to feel that way, that's not a good sign. Practice self-care as a non-negotiable. This is huge. This is why we need to know what we need before we ask it from another person. And I remember having some arguments with my partner that I really wanted a bunch of flowers, and I love getting flowers, and that's such a lovely thing for me. And before I met him, I would buy myself those flowers, and I would, every weekend or whenever I was home for a long weekend, I'd buy myself flowers, and I love that feeling. I would give myself a pamper day. I would buy myself some luxurious chocolate, and I would eat it and have a little indulgence. Now, when we started to go out, I started to almost like expect him to do those things for me instead of continuing to do them for myself. I started to put more and more on the relationship, even things like I love going walking, and I really wanted to go walking with him, and when he didn't do that, I felt resentful. But then I realized that why don't I go walking by myself? Why don't I give myself that exercise regardless of whether that person wants to do it with me or not? So it kind of created this unnecessary pressure and tension and expectation within myself that I was putting on someone that, can't have been nice. And the same with the flowers. And, that is a realization that I had during the relationship, but it was really nice. And I started to then give myself those things, and it felt a lot better. They might do those things for you, but maybe they don't see the point. Maybe they just don't see it as a big deal. And it's a bit of a shame, yes, because if you've expressed that makes you happy and they really just won't do it, then that's, in my opinion, not a very nice way of treating someone. However, first and foremost, give yourself the things you need and don't just put that on another person. That is their choice. So fill up your cup and make sure you're doing that for yourself before anyone else comes into the picture. And I'd say that's probably the biggest thing. Whether you're in a relationship, whether you're not in a relationship, just continue to give yourself the things that you need, that nourish you, that make you happy, that make you your most beautiful and wonderful self. And now we're gonna get to the last bit of this video, which is, can you make this change, let's say, and can you make this work in a relationship, or do you have to walk away, or do you have to be on your own to make these shifts? I'm going to be real with you, it really depends on the dynamic of the relationship. So if you're with someone that's also open to growth and open-minded and who is open to communication, and they want to, they love you and they care about you and they want to understand and they want to work with you, then absolutely, this is the most beautiful relationship you can ever be in, because that's two people coming together, two people being supportive, open to growth, and two people who respect each other's boundaries or are learning to do that, and they're working on that together. That is probably one of the most amazing relationships you can have, and the strength that can come through a process like this is immense. And all you've got to do at that point is just start slowly prioritizing yourself, slowly setting boundaries, and start giving yourself the things that used to make you happy. If you're with a partner that loves you and appreciates you and wants the best for you, they will always encourage that. They will never get upset about it. They will never make you feel bad for it. They'll always want to, support you in the best way for you to be your best self, so the relationship can grow and you guys can have a wonderful, wonderful life together. However, if they dismiss you, if they dismiss your feelings or your needs, or they get defensive, or they make you feel bad in any way, or they make you feel even worse for the fact that you're trying to do those things, and if they're not ready to take that journey with you in a sense, or constantly demanding more whilst they're not really giving very much, in those sort of scenarios, leaving may be necessary, because that person's always going to be kind of making you feel miserable, quite literally. And if you already know that you give too much, and if you already know that you are working on giving yourself the things you need as well, and you've got a partner that's unsupportive and they're, punishing you for that and making you feel like you're a bad person for caring about yourself as well, that's really not a healthy dynamic and not something that's going to help you, in my opinion, in that growth. So it's important to distinguish between those two things. Be respectful, communicate the best you can, and explain to this person And I think the way you do this is really important. And again, that's something I've got to be mindful of. But ultimately, if you are doing this to better yourself and you're being kind to yourself and you're just trying to be better, then a loving, supportive partner won't punish you for that, and they won't make you feel worse, and they won't attack you for it. They'll want to be there for you, and they'll want the best for you. And if they can help you in that journey, they'll want to do that too. These are my tips for how to avoid losing yourself in a relationship. And if you have found yourself in that place, then how to try and get back to a place of joy and happiness and your beautiful self again. And if you take one thing from this video, I would say is that loving someone shouldn't mean abandoning yourself. It shouldn't. It should be two people that are, you know, either working on each other and on themselves, working on themselves to be better, to grow together, who are committed to each other, and who also, you know, they're able to look at each other, at themselves. They're able to communicate. They're able to ultimately be committed to that. If you don't feel they are the things you're getting in this relationship, and you know you've done everything you can, then, you know, it may be worth stepping away. But a relationship shouldn't make you feel like you have to abandon who you are and abandon your happiness and be a slave to another person. That is not healthy, and that is not what we should be aiming for. I hope that's helped someone out there, and please do comment. I want to know what you thought of this video. I want to hear any questions you've got. Give me that thumbs up, share, subscribe, do all of that good stuff. And like I said, I've got a PDF for you guys if you want to do some exercises, be accountable for these activities. I've got a 3-month plan which tells you the kind of things you can check for, the kind of things you can put in place for yourself, and just kind of how you can start turning this dynamic around. If you're interested, drop me an email. I will send you that directly. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you all in my next one. Good luck.